Hello everybody. I'm Guga, and I'm the author of perlbrew, and I'm here to introduce this nice little tool that I wrote. And yeah, so a little brief introduction about me is that I'm basically a web programmer, and as you know, web programmer means that you write a lot of things as a web programmer. So anyway, and that's the website of perlbrew. You can check it out. So onto the topic. But before that, I want to go back in time to time before we had perlbrew and see what it looks like. So as we know, in almost every Unix-like machine, you have user bin perl, and some of them has like user local bin perl or somewhere else. And I personally like to have my own Perl installation under my home directory just for convenience or for experiments. And actually, when you install or upgrade Perl, you have this version number on the on the Perl executables. So when you're upgrading Perl's new one, the old one doesn't just disappear. It is still there. However, the sitelet or the Inc directory, the newly installed Perl will contain the old sitelet. So say you upgrade to 5.10, and the sitelet of 5.8 is still there. So you don't really have to reinstall every CPM module that you have installed. However, that means the sitelet gets longer and longer every time you do an upgrade. But Perl is really awesome in the way that it is super backward compatible. Just as Jesse mentioned, that the new release of Perl should not break your code. Yes, it never broke. And then, which means that Perl itself is really ideal for a production environment. And keep upgrading your system Perl is actually generally okay. But there's some catch, is that it depends on your condition whether you want to upgrade those CPM modules or not. Because CPM modules are not necessarily backward compatible, just like Perl. And sometimes those Access or C, the module with C languages, they might have to be recompiled with the new Perl you upgraded. So sometimes upgrading modules might not be avoidable. And I tend to think that current CPM architecture, it sort of encourages you to upgrade everything to the latest version and just assume that it should be backward compatible. Because the default behavior of CPM is to install the latest version of modules. And it's slightly difficult to install an older version of modules. You kind of have to figure out the URL to the old version of the module, and either download them or let CPM do it. And that results in error because that might make something not so happy happening, because when you really run into an error, like application error, it happens at the wrong time. So say you fully upgraded everything, and there's an error. You know it at the wrong time, unless you have a test before, so you can test it before you deploy it. But again, that is still runtime. And access errors happens in the compile time, so you know it earlier, but it is often really difficult to solve. And the worst of all is you have to really upgrade Perl before everything. And I think that's like an all-in. It's like you develop everything, you decided to do it, and it sometimes results me into a dirty state. That is, say, I want to upgrade like a framework or like GFT or anything with a very long dependency list, but like one or two of the out of 200 modules fail to upgrade, and I find it almost impossible to revert to the previous good state. I know, because I easily lost track the modules and the version number that I installed. So the only retreat you can do is just to revert to the previous version of Perl that you manually upgraded, because the old Perl does not contain a new site-lib. So yeah, basically you just give up everything and then do a full retreat. But the thing is, quite often I really want to just use the new Perl, because the new Perl it has a better performance in general. It just runs my program faster. And then it has quite a few bug fixes, specifically among regular expressions. And then or I just want to do some evaluations of the new syntax and stuff. I just want to try it. So I think there are some use cases for you guys too. And for CPAN authoring, I think this is convention that we always try to specify the correct module dependencies and the versions. So, and module users who use the modules, they always have to run tests when installing. So to prevent like runtime errors, so you can know the errors when you are testing it instead of after you're deploying it. So and really this can be a lengthy and pain process. So back to the reality and think about how do we improve this. So the first idea I had is to write perlbrew is a tool to install different versions of Perls, or stated another way is an admin-free Perl installation management tool, or it's a beer-driven software. It's driven by beer. So if you run Ruby world, you know this tool, RVM. It is It is a tool that lets you compile like all the versions of Ruby, including 1.8, 0.9, which is basically slightly different languages. And then there's REE, the enterprise version of Ruby, and then there's JRuby that requests Java virtual machine. There are a lot of them. And perlbrew is different. It just compiles a whole, just one single really source of Perl, but different version. Okay, so the tool is really easy to install. There's a one-liner install that installed like 2 or 3 tools for you, and easy to use. So yeah, you just pass install and then the Perl and the version you want to install, and give it like 20 minutes and for compile, and it'll be done. Now the magic here is you can say Perl use and then the version, and then or Perl switch and then the version, and your current shell environment will be tweaked to include the specified version of Perl in the path, including the CPAN and all the other executable that come with Perl. And also recently the implementation has integrated a local lib integration. So like you say perl list, you can see the list of the Perl installations inside the perlbrew container. Or now you can say perlbrew lib. There's a recently introduced command that you say perlbrew lib. You can so if you're using local lib, a local lib is basically a folder containing only different installation of CPAN modules that are isolated to each other. So you can have, say you have different 3 apps that you develop at the same time. They can each have different local lib, and they might contain different version of the same module, and that's basically the power of local lib. You can install different versions of the same module. Say I want a slightly older version of GPT or something, and then recently there's perlbrew lib integration, local lib integration into the perlbrew. So you can say I want a lib name called Nobita, and then under a given version of Perl, and then you can switch or use that Perl with that local lib in one single command. So say you're developing different stuffs, and then either you want to try it with the different combination of a dependency or Perl versions, or you just or the module kind of depends on a certain set of dependencies. You can do it with all these combinations you need. So as you can see, the local lib name is composed with a Perl name and the local lib name. And if you use local lib, this is just the same as doing that. So that local, basically the perlbrew and tool or the local lib tool is tweaking your shell environment. Just notice the pink ones, although they're not really clear to see. So yeah, basically it's just tweaking Perl 5 lib a little bit. So, and then there's a Perl op and then Perl mb ops for the cpan. So when you install new modules, it gets installed to the local lib container instead of the global site lib, and which makes perfect isolations of modules. These are released with the latest release. Yeah. Okay. So that's the basic usage and introduction of perlbrew, and now I want to talk about a property of perlbrew that I think that can help people developing their applications. So basically, the perlbrew itself provides isolated Perl installations. By isolated, I mean the bin directory, the site lib directory, and the local lib directories. So opposed to upgrading, installing a new version or any version of Perl, it never does the upgrade process. The site lib does not accumulate it. So every installation of Perl has its own site lib and core libs very, very clearly. And the benefit from that is the first one is you don't have to do sudo because it installed to your home directory, and then you got a very easy to clean Perl environments. So say when you're evaluating that version of like a development version of Perl release, and then you decide not to use it, it is very easy to just remove the whole directory and then it disappears. And then again, the ink directory it doesn't get longer. So you can have a per app isolated Perl environment with local lib. So for each application that you develop on the same machine, you can have their dependencies installed into different local lib containers. Now this can avoid any possible conflict, like deeper version conflicts between your apps. So upgrading the dependency of A does not break at B because they're totally different. So it's a little bit like the cartoon tools by Miyagawa, and because it's based on the same local lib concept. So that also gives me a chance to know know how my lib directory look like. And because I always found it confused that I cannot know my lib looks like after I upgrade, say, Catalyst, and then like 3 other modules gets upgraded too. So anyway, which means you can also try to install older versions of modules without worry to breaking your current software. Yeah, again, this is made possible with locallib too. Although you still have to figure out the URL of the old version of the modules. And then there are also other reasons to use perlbrew, that sometimes the vendor perl, the perl that comes with your operating system has their specific purpose, and you don't really want to mess up with them, and maybe not even upgrading them. So, and also you have the chance to know newer perl easily. The other reason is just to test, and testing is like a huge topic in the perl community. And I think there are tools like called smoke brew that use perlbrew to build up a test bus. And you can also use to test perl itself, like with the thread perl or 64 bits perl, and all kind of tweaking all the configs of the compiling configs. Or when you need to play with some internal things like B or access things, it's better that you have a perl with debugging options, and you don't really want to upgrade system perl for that. So yeah, that's basically the project, and this project is heavily inspired by cpan, ACK, and RVM. That the distributable is just one standalone program like cpan minus and ACK. It embeds everything that's not in core. So that makes it very easy to just have just download this just one file and then you're good. And the shell integration, there are some part of it are integrated with Bash that is inspired from the RVM, that you can easily tweak your shell environment by wrapping the executable with a function of the same name. So for this project, I want to improve it for a multiple user scenario. Like there are people feedback say that they have the same machine, like 5 people using. They want to use the same perlbrew root, so they don't have to install 20 perl in there. It's just waste of space. So, and overall, I think I want to provide a tool that help develop to isolate the problem, either the cpan upgrade problem or the problem itself. And yet I want to keep it simple, and then with the tool like this, I think we can keep the newcomers of Perl by something that doesn't make them feel like frustrated. Yeah, but simple is hard. So about the perlbrew development, it is on GitHub. Search for perlbrew. It has quite a few contributors. Thanks for them. And then if you want to provide feedback to perlbrew, you can use the GitHub issue or RT, or on Twitter, just with the perlbrew tag. And you can check out the website for the latest updates and documentations. And the website is basically a static version of the GitHub wiki. So thank you. That's everything.